Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 16th of November, 2022. I'm Michael Thompson. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about, so let's jump into it. Story number 1, a bit of a down day for markets today, with the S&P ASX 200 declining 0.3% to 7,122 points. Aristocrat Leisure had the biggest drop among the large cap stocks, down 5%. Reece dropped 2.9%, and QBE Insurance fell 2.8%. On the upside, Whitehaven Coal added 5.8%, while Nufarm added 8.9%. Investors were a little rattled today by a missile strike in Poland that initially threatened to draw other countries into the war in Ukraine. More on that one in a moment. Overnight in the US, stocks rallied on a favourable producer price index report showing inflationary pressures easing. The Dow Jones rose 0.2%. While the S&P 500 added 0.9% and the tech-heavy Nasdaq jumped 1.4%, investors are intently focused on any signals about the path of inflation as they really try to determine when the Federal Reserve will slow its aggressive pace of lifting interest rates. Story number 2, as I mentioned, a messy day in global diplomacy after a deadly missile strike on a Polish village near the Ukraine border. Poland blamed Moscow, but US President Joe Biden declared it was unlikely that the missiles were fired from Russia. It appears now that the missile that hit Poland might have actually been fired by Ukrainian forces, hoping to hit an incoming Russian missile. Now, that's really significant because Poland is a member of NATO, and NATO members have an obligation to defend each other against attacks by third parties. The missile strike came as the G20 prepared a communique saying most of its members condemned the war in Ukraine, giving a way out to not only Russia but also China and India, who are wary of condemning Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Story number 3, Donald Trump has confirmed a presidential bid for the 2024 elections in an hour-long speech filled with nationalist rhetoric. Now, Mr. Trump was speaking at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida and covered topics ranging from migrants, borders, drug running, Islamic terrorism, and COVID. He even claimed that China had some involvement in his loss in the 2020 election. President Joe Biden wasted no time posting a tweet reading "Donald Trump failed America," along with a video highlighting a few of the former president's more controversial claims and moments. Somehow, I suspect he may have had that one ready to go. Story number 4, wages growth in Australia has finally picked up according to the latest Bureau of Statistics data. Average private sector pay rises hit 4.3% in the September quarter. Now that puts annual wages growth at the fastest pace in a decade. Private sector pay rises meant overall wage growth added 1% over the quarter to reach 3.1% year on year. Of course, with inflation running at 7%, real wages are still falling. Finally, story number 5, an exciting afternoon for space exploration as we wait for the Artemis mission to take off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The uncrewed Orion spacecraft is due to launch within a 2-hour window, which started at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. It is a 6-week mission that will see the most powerful rocket in history circle the moon. The Artemis missions are a series of stepping stones, really, towards landing people back on the moon and eventually a trip to Mars. The launch was cancelled back in August and again in September. It really all depends on the weather. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 16th of November, 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join me and Adam Lang tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson. Enjoy your evening.